Yesterday marked 2 years since Steve Perkins died by the hands of a now former Decatur police officer in Perkins' driveway. That trial scheduled in November. This past Sunday, a woman shot and killed a would-be burglar who broke into her home. And so the stand your ground law is on many of our minds. It's been used in successful defenses in Alabama many times, but when does it actually apply? Can you use deadly force on anyone who comes into your property without your permission? Let's verify. Police say a man was shot and killed while trying to burglarize a home in Decatur Sunday. Was the homeowner justified in wielding deadly force against a would-be thief? When does stand your ground law apply? We verify. Our sources are the Alabama Code and attorney Joe Lampley with Joe Lampley Law Offices in Huntsville. According to Alabama Code Section 13A 323, a person is justified in using force if they reasonably believe it is necessary to prevent imminent unlawful force against them. But this standard hinges on reasonable belief. So what is that? We asked attorney Lampley.
That's not necessarily a clear black and white standard. You simply look at all the facts, the totality of the circumstances, and try to derive from that what would any other typical person in this particular factual scenario, what would they have done? And that's why the statute allows for a reasonable person standard.
The law also distinguishes between non-deadly and deadly force. Non-deadly force is allowed when necessary to defend yourself or another from unlawful force. Deadly force is justified only when necessary to prevent death, serious physical injury, or the commission of a violent felony. But what about the instance in Decatur? Does a break-in justify the use of deadly force?
If someone is committing an offense and they are not engaging in any unlawful or attempt unlawful physical force against you, you're not free just to take your gun and shoot someone or to stab someone. Now that's a little tricky area because we've had cases where someone is trying to break in your home, and on the other side of the door, you don't know whether they are armed or not armed. And so you engage in some behavior that you reasonably believe that this person on the other side of the door is getting ready to kick your door in, or they're trying to kick your door in, but you don't know whether or not they are armed or not armed. In those type of situations, it's not black and white.
The law goes on to state that individuals have no duty to retreat before using force in self-defense. This is why it's called the stand your ground law. You have the right to stand your ground when facing an imminent threat to yourself or others. But this law is still open to interpretation. Courts must consider factors such as provocation, the nature of the threat, and whether the response was proportionate. So we can verify that the stand your ground law applies when you are facing imminent danger on your own property. However, what justifies deadly force under this law is a decision up to the court's interpretation of the circumstances of each case. We do want to note no charges are expected in Sunday's shooting in Decatur. If you have something you want us to verify, text us at 256-382-2692.